Well, if nobody else is going to say anything, hi, everybody, and welcome to Sci-Fi-vision Fandom Access.
Yeah, sorry. The reason I wasn't saying anything is because I noticed up in the corner there's exclamation points on our X program. So I don't know if anybody is hearing us on X.
Wait, what's the matter? We're not on X tonight?
It says a premium account on X is required to create live broadcasts on their platform. Please upgrade to a premium subscription on X to stream to a different destination. Yeah,
I don't
I
have
wonder
that.
if that's new. Twitter sucks. They're probably
X.
it's like well, I'm still calling it freaking Twitter.
I'm being
Okay.
I know.
At any rate, if you're not, maybe nobody's hearing us on X. I don't know. That would be weird.
The news was announced on the stating starting soon only premium subscribers will be able to stream. Well, screw that. I'm not giving him money.
Okay. Well, welcome everybody who's here tonight on YouTube and Facebook and Twitch and whatever else. We're happy to have you here.
Yes, and I'm going to tweet that if they want to listen to it, they will have to go over to YouTube to do it because
which is good anyway because
it's better, yeah.
You can't comment. You can't comment from X anyway.
Yeah. Okay. Well, we usually get a lot of listeners on X, so sorry you can't.
I know that's why I know. That's why I'm thinking, nobody's gonna listen to us tonight except for Liz.
Well, that's fine. All right. We have a good show tonight. We have only 4 programs to discuss, which gives us a little breathing room from those nights where we have 6, 7, 8 shows to talk about. Thank goodness. So we've got what do we want to do? Jump in with the Acolyte? I watched everything today because I've been so busy that I just watched all these shows today, and they either are fresh in my mind or they erased each other. So
yeah, let's start with Acolyte. That sounds good.
Okay, sure. We can start with that.
The Acolyte.
I tweeted it. All right, I just got done watching that, I don't know, 15 minutes ago, I guess.
Okay. Well, what'd you think? How'd you like it?
I was glad to finally see the backstory of what happened. But I was kind of confused during parts of it since I don't know Star Wars. I didn't get at first. I finally got it after that they were controlling the Wookiee, because I'm like, what the heck? I thought he was good. I was lost for a second there. But other than that, it was okay. But I don't know. I mean, I feel in a way okay, they didn't want to screw up Osha and they wanted to let her be able to live her life, so they lied to her. But it's was it really fair to let her think her sister? Now, granted, her sister did cause the fire that caused it, but it didn't happen obviously the way that they let her think it did, and I don't know that it was really fair to her not to tell the truth after the fact. Even if they told the council that, I feel like Saul should have went to her and told her the truth later.
Told Osha. They thought May was dead. They didn't tell May because they thought May was dead.
Well,
right?
May, they thought she was dead. Yeah. But they're telling. Now, here's my question: this was supposed to be he's telling May this story, right? I mean, that was what I had gotten out of it last week, but they didn't start it there, so I couldn't remember for sure.
He said he was going to tell her, so I guess.
And you're going to listen.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I assume that this was kind of him explaining it. But yeah, I thought it was nice to get to see the flashback. I think they did a good job. It shows that the Jedis and the Council don't always necessarily do the quote-unquote right thing. And I mean, obviously Saul had altruistic reasoning for doing what he did. He wanted to save the girls, and he thought that she was going to, be at risk. But if he had not done all of that, all those people wouldn't have died. So yeah, it didn't work out. And in the end, it was maybe I know we're naming Trinity, but I'm going to call her anyway. Maybe Trinity was right in the end, and that they shouldn't have. Adira, yeah. And it was good to see Carrie Ann Moss again.
Yeah. I didn't think it was. I mean, I agree. It was nice to see the backstory, or to see the other version of the flashback, right? Like we had seen it from the children's point of view or the witch's point of view, maybe. And now we saw it from the Jedi's POV. So I also appreciated seeing that. I, I mean, so there was some good fighting. You know, there was a good
Yeah, this show always has good
a good fight.
choreography.
They do a good job with that, but I only have this picture of Saul because it's awesome.
Except the shitty scene.
I mean, I kind of did he have so. I'm not going to say that I totally disagreed that it had altruistic reasons, but I felt like the storytelling was very thin. Like he really did not have a reason to think these girls were. I'm sorry, they're in danger. He sees them out. First of all, these Jedi are lurking around this planet. I had a nice picture of them lurking. Where's the lurking? I had a nice picture of them lurking behind. They're literally like, since when did the Jedi go out and like pick up leaf samples and moss samples?
Yeah, that was little.
They're like on a scientific away mission to determine why there is life on this planet, and I know they're trying to find a virgins, whatever that is. But they're like lurking around, and they see these kids, and I thought Saul. So I'm not sure if like Saul goes pretty quickly to like they're in danger, and then he says, "I feel Osha is meant to be my Padawan," and Adira says, don't mistake what you want for what she wants, right? Like he's just like hot day at he's desperate for a Padawan, so he's gonna like grab the first kid he sees. Like I don't know, but I'm not sure if he was.
I wondered if at first, and I didn't know if maybe I think because it wasn't explained when they had the whole thing about how the one was marked and the other one wasn't. I kind of wondered if it was at first implying that they were going to sacrifice Osha in this ritual, but they didn't, and that wasn't what it was, but that was where I thought it was going the way they did that.
The reason one was marked and one wasn't was because the Jedi interrupted the middle of the ceremony and they never got to the second kid.
You're right. I had forgotten about that. That was
right.
Before. And also, I don't think Osha wanted it. Whether or not she would have let them do it, I don't know. Probably.
Yeah, I mean, the Jedi also show up and they're like, "Ooh, look at my lightsaber! Want to be a Jedi? Decide now. You have 5 minutes." Right?
Yeah. Good point.
No, I don't know. I don't know if that was just weak story writing, or actually like
if he had a reason.
They didn't explain his reason. I don't know, AJ. What do you think, AJ?
I think the Jedi were cool when it was just Luke Skywalker.
Let me ask you guys a question though. What did you think was originally the and I don't remember her name, but the one mother of the children, was her intent when she turned into the what everyone called the smoke? I almost felt, and it wasn't explained one way or another. I mean, Saul killed her, but the way she split and sort of went at both sides, I thought that she was going to try to stop the two of them from killing each other, was what I thought maybe it was supposed to be, because she sort of was like going both directions. You know what I mean? Like she was trying to stop them from each other. I don't know. That was my guess.
In a simple way, yes.
That's what it seemed to be. Okay.
Oh,
but
I didn't know.
Her actions were not hostile, and Saul's an asshole. So let me give you, since they didn't do a very good job explaining it in the show, they kept talking about it, but they didn't explain really what happened and why they were on the planet Brendak to begin with. So they keep talking about the great hyperspace disaster. So I don't know from when exactly, from this point, how long ago it was, but there was a Jedi ship in hyperspace, and the Nil, who have been fighting Jedi forever, destroyed the ship while in hyperspace. So this ship, while in hyperspace, because it no longer can control anything, the pieces of the ship just start jettisoning out of hyperspace randomly throughout the galaxy. Brendak is one of the planets that the ship, a part of the ship landed on, killing all life. That's why they were on Brendak going, hey,
Was there
how does
life?
this planet have life again? Because a couple of years ago, there was none. That's why. And there was also a throwaway line a couple of weeks ago. I forget the Green Jedi's name. That when she talks about getting on a ship and somebody's like, really? You want to go into hyperspace? Because she has trauma over hyperspace because her Padawan was on the ship when it went boom boom. And then she named her ship after her Padawan. So there's that. So you understand why they were even on the planet to begin with.
I mean, I still don't know why the Jedi are doing that, but okay.
Because they're trying to figure out, because they're looking for a virgins, they're trying to figure out how life came to be because there shouldn't be. So, because they felt a disturbance in the Force. So
okay, that I can understand. That makes sense to me.
but with what we got on the episode and everything that transpired, first and foremost, a typical Jedi, thinking they know better than everybody. Saul is a friggin' idiot. He saw it from his perspective. Oh, the girls are in danger. We have to save these girls. You only saw part of anything. First of all, you're in their home lurking. You're hearing parts of conversations. You see Anastasia force pushing the girls, but what you don't know is she's trying to train them to protect themselves. You only see that.
It was obvious that she wasn't abusing them and she was training them. I thought right away, but that's the thing.
The first thing he sees is Anastasia force push, and you see Osha go flying on the ground. That's the first thing he saw. So his perspective, I mean, I don't know if it's thin writing or just trying to show that these Jedi are a bunch of jackasses. The Padawan, I forget his name.
His name is I had his name. It's not Tristan. It's it'll come to me in a second. Go ahead.
Well, whatever his name is, doesn't really matter. I kind of get him a little bit because Anastasia went in his head and was controlling him to get the Jedi to back down. But I kind of get why he's a little on edge. I mean, he was already being a whiny little shit anyway. I don't want to be here. This is boring. I want adventure.
Okay, that was Luke Skywalker's whole MO for the first half of his movie.
That's fair. I'm sorry. So, a true Jedi, the Jedi that we're supposed to respect and understand, and the wonderful Jedi that we've all been told about. The scene where Saul is holding both girls up on the bridge. A true Jedi would have let them both die. He would have kept trying to save them both until he could not no more, and they both died. That's what you don't give up on one girl to choose the other because he used emotion.
It seemed to me that he dropped both of them, though. He dropped one side, then the other. I think he didn't mean to drop either of them. I think he realized he could run and grab one.
He absolutely did. Jamie, he absolutely. He had both hands out to the side, and then he dropped May and used both hands on Osha. He absolutely chose Osha because I feel she's supposed to be my Padawan, so screw the other one.
But do you think he did it subconsciously? Because I thought it looked like
it was intent. It was intentional. Absolutely intentional.
I agree. I think he could not. I don't have a picture of that. I think
that's the picture you like.
That's the picture. I think he couldn't hold up both sides of the bridge, and he's like, I can only save one, and I pick Osha.
Yeah. A true Jedi wouldn't get
I don't think it's not like he let May die on purpose, but he could only save one of them, and he chose Osha. And I think AJ maybe has a point.
I just meant it looked like he dropped both of them, then he ran over. That's why I kind of assumed that
he did. He does eventually drop.
Didn't mean to drop either,
He does eventually drop the Osha side of the bridge also and grabs her hand and saves her. But to me, he definitely chose one to save.
Yeah. So screw the Jedi.
Let me and we have one person who agrees with us. Ark, thank you. That's what I felt like I saw on the screen. Jamie, Jamie is right.
No, you're probably right. I just didn't notice it, I guess. I didn't really think about it, to be honest.
I mean he does then drop Osha also. He actually is not the strongest, we've seen Luke Yoda lift an X-Wing fighter out of the swamp, right? Like there are Jedi who, I guess maybe there were some distractions going on that prevented Saul from being able to do that, or maybe he's just not the master yet that Adira is.
Yeah.
But see, we shouldn't have this conversation. It should be clear to us. We have some bad writing going on in the show. That for all of us to watch it and not maybe, yes, there are times when we should be, there's healthy discussion about character motivation, but we're disagreeing about what we saw happen on the screen, which is crazy, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I came away from this. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, and that comes on the heels of Saul killing Anastasia. What happened to Jedi all the time saying we don't attack unarmed people? He's
made quite a lot of mistakes.
Maybe it startled him because she started blacklisting, but that was just And the best part is May saw him do it, so no wonder May wanted to save him for last.
He made a lot of. So when he stabs the cloud of smoke with his lightsaber, what are you doing? You're obviously trying to kill her, right? You're not just poking around in a cloud. Poke that lightsaber with my cloud and see what happens. Why would he even, and then the mother
she didn't actually do anything. So,
and then she's like, oh, I was going to let May go. It's what she wants. Right. The Jedi have not, they killed a lot of innocent moths in the last couple episodes also, which, those big, the Jedi don't kill any creatures that they don't have to, right? Or any alien species that they don't the Jedi are coming across as careless and arrogant, and this episode, they clearly are in the wrong in pretty much every single scene, right? Now, granted, this isn't really from the witch's POV. This is Soul's 16 years of guilt, right? That is influencing maybe the way we're seeing this, but they deserve it. They
stuck their nose where it didn't belong.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think they came and they show up on this planet, the bunch of them, and they're like, oh, Saul's like, oh, that girl's in trouble. And, I gotta say, Adira tries to talk him out of it many times. She maybe should have been a stronger boss and been like, no, I'm telling you, no, we're out of here. But she lets it go on a little bit. And then she stages she's behind the cover up at the end. Right?
Yeah. Which I don't completely agree with the cover up either, but
no, I don't.
I understand her reasoning behind it. It's kind of like, as bad as things just went, why make it worse type of attitude, which I get to a point. She's not, it's that's at least a little bit of a gray area. Everything else, not gray at all. However, we did learn some fun, interesting things about the episode that kind of help make more sense of things. So we learned a little bit more about how the twins came to be. They're technically not I don't know how to. They were the same entity at one point, and they split them. Basically, they split the egg after they. That's
what I was trying to understand. At first, I thought they were clones, and I thought maybe they were going to be clones of her or something. And then no, that's not what they meant.
It explains.
And at one point, I thought maybe they were opposite.
It was a bi-generation.
parts of her, but yeah, it was by generation. That's a
It's not even clear how they were created. Like, they were not
No.
created by any traditional form of reproduction that we are familiar with. They were created by magic or something like that, and then
Well, yeah,
split into two. They're essentially clones. They're the same person.
they manipulated. Well, no, they're not the same person. That's the thing. That's what I was getting at next. Because they split the one entity into two, that kind of explains the difference in their attitudes about things. Like, that's why I think that explains why May is so adventurous and so gung-ho and so all in, whereas Osha's kind of like, well, I don't know. It's like, you know what I mean? Like, they don't have
That's why I
the
thought
same.
they were like two sides of the same coin. I thought they were
Exactly. Yeah.
different.
It's like, it's like one
Yeah.
got empathy and one didn't, type of thing. You know what I mean? Like, they
Kind of
I feel like that's why they're polar opposites, basically.
like Arnold Schwarzenegger and Danny DeVito in Twins.
Yeah, exactly. There you go. There you go. Exactly.
They got different parts of the gene pool.
One thing I'm still having a problem with. So we see more time has passed. Like, we saw Osha's side of it, and things seem to happen really quickly in her version. And now that we see the Jedi side of things, you realize a lot more time passed for everything to transpire. I think it's also interesting we see that May was just trying to light the book on fire and got carried away, and that's why she wasn't.
Yeah, I
actually
thought
trying
that
to
was
light the fire
interesting.
on that
That
sword.
wasn't what we thought.
I still have. I mean, and so now I do see that it is what caused the fire in the structure. I still feel like it spread a little too quickly, even though I see there's more time elapsed. I still feel like to destroy that entire place like that so quickly, I feel like it was still a little bit of a stretch, but at least it makes a little more sense now.
I do feel like the witches, I don't want to say the witches started it, because the Jedi came trespassing and lurking around and trying to kidnap their child, right? And so, but the witches became very aggressive, and particularly, I forget her name, but the second mother, this woman also feels like a mother to the children, and she was very like, May, run, witches, arm yourself, let's get ready, right? Like, she definitely was taking a more aggressive tone than Anastasia, who was a little more conciliatory, right? But the witches kind of, they were ready to rumble right away, right? And, there was definitely a difference of opinion on how the witches should respond. Anastasia was, definitely trying to not have a fight, and some of the other witches wanted to fight. I don't have a picture, but to me, one of the highlights was when the witches were shooting all those arrows down, and Torben with the Padawan with the gold saber over here, when he was like fending off, spinning and jumping, and that was a great scene, right?
Was.
Yeah, the action in the show has been very good.
Yeah, that's what I said. The choreography is always good.
Yeah. They do a good job with that. All of that was good, except when then you decide to poke a dead cloud, and then the part where the witches like took over, like, Karnaka, what's his name?
The Wookiee.
Kalanaka. When they took over his mind and started, like, collectively controlling Kelnaka and making him fight, that was kind of cool also, right?
Yeah.
This is the best shot, the flying Wookiee shot. But then when Carrie-Anne Moss comes in and like lands on his head and like mind melds him, and we saw how the witches all died, right? She like, I never saw a Jedi.
Did she?
They're not. I don't think. No, see, I don't think they're dead.
Well, they died.
I think she just knocked them out. Just because we see that, I think she just knocked them out. Because if anybody could do a non-lethal blow like that, I think it's Indara with everything we saw with her. I'm not convinced they were dead.
Okay, that's fair. I mean, we don't have confirmation. We just saw them there lying there.
Right, we don't have confirmation one way or the other.
We don't have confirmation whether they're dead or alive. Although if they're alive, they've been pretty. They didn't take any action, right? It's 16 years later, and May has now become like an assassin to try to kill them all.
Well, I mean, who knows? We might see more of them in the finale.
We might see more of them, yeah.
Because I still feel like what's his face there isn't the only red wielding lightsaber guy. I can't think of his name.
Oh, Quirin?
Queemy.
Quillen?
I don't remember his name now.
Manny Jacinto.
Yeah, we have Roger in the chat. Also.
Quimir is his name. Yeah, we don't really.
I guess Roger felt obligated to come listen to us because I listened to him last night.
Well, and our show is excellent. I mean, I think by the end of this, we also, not that we really cared, but we kind of know why now, why Torben hasn't spoken. Remember when May comes to assassinate him, he hasn't spoken for like 10 years. He's been in like Jedi meditative state for 10 years. And I'm not sure if it's over the guilt of what happened or like the witches getting in his head and messing with him. He really, I mean, he was only a Padawan, so it's pretty easy for her to be like, "Oh, you want to go home?" She's like, "Oh, what do you want to do? You want to go to Coruscant? I can take you there." But it was all very like weirdly sexy, and I felt like she was like kind of like getting at other things that a Jedi might want to do that they're not allowed to do, right? Because a Jedi can't have any. I mean, a Jedi's not allowed to have any like real connections, but I feel like wanting to go home is not
really something he should be. They should be yelling at him for.
Yeah, right. So, this was the second to last episode. I don't really see how it sets up a big showdown. I feel like,
no, I think they're vying for a season 2.
You think so?
I don't think we can wrap this up next week. I mean, it can be wrapped up to a point, but there's lots more story here. And if they try to wrap it all up next with the finale, I feel like it's gonna be a bad finale.
Yeah, I mean, it feels like there's still a lot of space here to figure out like what's up with May and Osha, and you can't just wrap it up. But I mean, I think we know where it's going. We talked about this last week. They're switcherooing it, right? And the one you thought was light is dark, and the one you thought was dark becomes light, and whatever.
However, I do hope that if they are gonna make Osha join him, that they explain it a little bit better than he's very seductive. Because I mean, yeah, he made some good points, and I honestly I agree with a lot of stuff he said to last week or whatever week it was, and I can see why she's intrigued. But
and he's very seductive for sure.
Yeah, I'm not talking about going naked.
I know, but that helps. Come on, that helps.
Get seduced by the dark side, a whole new meaning.
Yeah.
But I just hope it's not that easy because she was all, you bad, Jedi good, and to and to change her mind in a couple hours. I really hope the writing isn't that bad.
Yeah, I mean, she changed her mind in like a moment. Like she literally said, "I don't have to do this," and we were like, "What?"
Yeah, that was really bad writing there.
And speaking of, making sense of all the Jedi, Kalnaka being exiled in that forest makes perfect sense too, because that's a Wookiee thing. Wookiees, it's against their religion to use their claws. Like if a Wookiee ever attacks somebody with their claws, they're banished.
But they can shoot you with guns as much as they want.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. But if a Wookiee, they see their claws as something to be used to climb trees or, something productive. Attacking somebody with their claws is like, you don't do it.
Okay, even if it was
even though he was controlled, I think in his own mind I think he holds himself accountable, which is why I think he exiled himself. It's the only thing that makes sense, given what I know about Wookiees.
Well, I guess so. That's interesting. So that's like maybe more like a self-exile that he put himself in.
That's what I felt. Yeah, that's what I think it was.
Yeah, he had exiled himself there because he thought like, oh, I'm ashamed, or I've done this bad thing or whatever.
Yeah, because you could tell he was very distraught afterwards, even though
even though it wasn't his fault.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, even though he was controlled. So, all right. Well, I don't even know what could happen by next week. Like, how could they wrap it up? I mean,
maybe it's continued. I wouldn't be surprised. It could
Yes.
be open in order to be
I
continued.
think they're definitely.
I'm hoping it's wrapped up, but
I don't see how it goes to a satisfying conclusion next week.
No.
Um,
No, there's only so much you can do in an hour, and there's a lot to figure.
I just like to show when this happens. I'm not really sure what she's agreeing with. I think maybe the whole Wookiee thing.
Kanaka.
Yeah.
Season 1 cliffhanger is what she's agreeing.
Oh, season 1 cliffhanger. Yeah. That's what they're going for. There's no way they can wrap this up in a satisfying fashion, and they are probably going for a second season, which they would hope.
Hey, and not for nothing, they gave Andor a second season. Why not this?
Well, and I mean, it's easier to get a second season when you're a Disney-owned property on Disney, right? I'm not saying it's like it's.
I don't
not
know.
like,
Disney cancels a lot of their own shit lately.
They did, yeah, they did. You're right. I mean, I think we all kind of agree this has been pretty boring, right? Like they haven't done a good job of making me really care about Osha and May, and it's
definitely not one of the better Star Wars properties. Which is because when I first heard about it, I was all in. I thought this was going to be great.
Yeah.
So excited for some new blood.
Yeah, they haven't really. So, I mean, I like Amanda Stenberg. Whatever's happening in the show, she's not making me really care about either of those twins. And I really don't like to criticize child actors.
More the writing, though, than anything.
Yeah, I don't like to criticize children actors, but the children are not well supported either. I'll say they aren't supported to do their best work, maybe. Because the writing, none of it has made me really root for either of the twins or both of the twins. And the Jedi, I mean, I think we're supposed to start to see how the Jedi destroyed themselves, right? That's really where this is going. Yeah. But we're watching another show about people destroying themselves. And that's very exciting, right? House of the Dragon is also about a dynasty that destroyed themselves.
That's yeah. That's a different.
I guess dragons are more exciting than lightsabers. I can't believe I'm saying that, but yes. No, the lightsaber scenes are a highlight. The lightsaber scenes are always a highlight of this show.
Yeah, no, the choreography and the fight scenes and everything is really great.
Sorry, that was my
funny. I feel like this is kind of a Star Wars trend, though. I mean, how many times do we have to see whiny, snivelly people that don't want to do the way of the Jedi? I mean, poor Anakin. I mean, you can't blame Hayden Christensen for.
Anakin is the king of the snivelly Padawans.
I mean, Kylo. All right. Kylo Ren wasn't a Padawan.
Oh, he's a sniveling whiner, also. Boy, isn't he? He's the king. He's the most emo of all Jedi, Kylo Ren. But Anakin Skywalker was awfully whiny. Luke Skywalker was a whiner.
I was gonna say, and Luke was kind of whiny to start with too.
Yeah. Torben, rather whiny in this week's episode, right? That's the back of Torben's head there. Let me see if I can get the front of Torben's head. Here he is. He's like, I want to go home. Where's the yellow brick road? There's no place like home, which they're not. None of them are from Coruscant. They just want to go there. That's the capital where they all live, right? Yeah. I mean, this has been great. We thought, I think everyone agrees that Boba Fett was really boring. AJ and I found Andor to be pretty boring. The Obi-Wan Kenobi spinoff was not good. Like, when has Disney hit it out of the park yet with any of these Star Wars stuff? None of these shows have been really that great, right?
It's going to be the one. I guess not.
The Mandalorian. Of course, the Mandalorian. I love the Mandalorian.
Yeah.
I love the Mandalorian. I loved those 3 episodes of Boba Fett that the Mandalorian was in. And we always give Andor credit for that whole office drama thing going on in the Empire.
The best part of that was the Empire, and the best part of this is the bad guy.
Mm-hmm. Finally, a hot bad guy in Star Wars. Thank you, Disney. Because they're all like old men.
Karen doesn't watch Bad Batch arc.
Oh, I don't watch the Bad Batch, but I hear that's good. Yeah.
It is really good.
I hear that's good. Yeah.
It is really good.
Maybe I'll try to watch it.
It was a really great
I'll try to
ending.
watch that.
So, all right. We should
All
probably
right.
move on to those.
Let's move on to Orphan
A
Black.
show where something finally started to happen.
I didn't think this was the greatest episode, but
See,
yeah.
I thought it was better than the first 2 or 3. I don't know what episode this is. But,
Yeah.
And it's funny when it first Artie and I first sat down to start watching it, we were both kind of like, in the beginning of the episode, we were both talking about, it hasn't really grabbed me yet. Like, it just doesn't have the same magic of the original Orphan Black. I was like, they're doing it kind of, it's a little different and everything. But by the end of the episode, we were like, wow, something actually finally, things are starting to pick up a little.
Yeah, that's why I told you guys the beginning of the season is a bit slow, but once it picks up, it's moves faster.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, it's a little weird, this show, in some ways. Like the homage to Celine Dion that happened repeatedly in this.
Oh, that was the name of the episode.
What?
It's all the name of the episode was "It's All Coming."
It's all coming back to me now. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh my god, that car ride. Oh my god, I wanted to shoot myself. So did Tom's partner. She was the audience. She was the audience in the back seat, cringing.
Is that him? That's not him.
No, it's not.
I tried to get a picture of Marie Diamond, but you know how I suck at uploading pictures, and I don't think I got him. I didn't get him. Anyway, I guess we could. The main storyline is Jules and Lucy like getting together and trying to recap, like trying to figure out who they are and figure out their dream and all that stuff. That's the through line of the whole episode.
Yeah, that's the main part of the episode.
Yeah. And so I enjoyed that part. I enjoyed the journey. It looks like they met their mother, right?
Well, it looks like they met Eleanor's mother. So
Eleanor's mother.
Yeah.
Like whoever Eleanor was, they're clones of or printouts of Eleanor.
And I have a theory that we'll get to it when we wrap this up.
Yeah.
But they're finally able to see enough of their dream when they put it together to follow the trail to where that's how they get to see Eleanor's mother, because they figure out where the dream took place, where the events in the dream took place, not where the dream took place.
And how great was it to see Kathy Baker? I didn't know she was going to be in this.
I knew because I saw her name in the credits in the beginning. So I said, "Ooh, Kathy Baker is in the episode. I don't know who she's playing." But...
I was gonna say, well, I knew because I saw it. So.
Well, and so I mean, she's been in everything and every place, but sci-fi wise, she had a small role in Colony, right? And
that's right.
In terms of shows that we have covered that she was in, it's really only Colony. But she's been in like a million episodes of everything going back to like the 80s, right? I mean, her first real thing that she became famous for was she was in The Right Stuff, right? And she's been in like, she's just one of those people that like you turn on the TV and you're like, oh, it's Kathy Baker. And so that was great. But I liked that. I liked how they played that with them, like finding her, but she has Alzheimer's.
So there is, even though they found like a big piece of quote unquote evidence, it's not very helpful.
I mean, I think it was kind of helpful.
No, but I mean, like they expected it to be a lot more helpful than it was, I guess is a better way to put
it. It's more than they had before.
That's true.
I kind of wanted to scream at them and be like, take a picture. Did you see the pillow with the high school picture says on it, Thomas so-and-so high school. And I was like, so clearly, can you like take a picture of that, remember it, and go like get the yearbook and like see what you can like You can go to
Yeah.
the public library and get yearbooks from schools and stuff, right?
Yeah, find out about the school. That was where I thought they would go too, but
Well, they had to do it. Things happened kind of quick because then they were on the
that's
run.
true. Yeah.
So, I mean, everything leading up to it was fun though. Them getting high and kind of, connecting. And I mean, Jules is definitely the comedy relief of the show because she had, or they just write her the best lines of the episode. I mean, when they were talking about, what happens when we die, and she's like, do we go back to Staples?
Yeah, I think that was the best line.
Yeah, yeah.
And I also liked her line when they found out the steeple was in Boston, when the statue was in Boston, and they go to Boston, and she's like, what do we do? Go knock on every door and ask if they have a murder bathroom?
Yeah,
Yeah, AJ, you're going in and out. Like, are you walking away from the microphone? You seem to be.
No, I haven't moved.
The mic
Okay.
seems to maybe have gotten away from your mouth a little bit. You got quiet.
I
but
might have covered. I might have. Like, I'm talking with my hands, and my hand might have gone in front of my face. Maybe.
Oh. And then when I enjoyed this scene that we're showing now where they make the painting and they figure that out. But I liked the Froze tournée, and
And the beer pong.
of course, it's Jules, the 15-year-old, who's gonna like play Froze pong and drink all the wine while Lucy like lurks in the corner and doesn't, drink any wine. That was kind of fun.
Yeah, I would think that Lucy would have been a little better than that, considering she's still in high school, but somehow she's good at beer pong. Well,
yeah, but you know what? Lucy is only 2 years old, and she's only been drinking for 2 years, and Jules probably has been drinking for like at least 5 years.
Yeah, maybe.
And taking drugs, right? Jules takes drugs and
makes them.
And makes them, yeah.
Makes them, yeah.
And then the great escape scene though. I was like, when I saw Kira, I was like, Kira's gonna pull up and get to the rescue, and I'm like, just get in the car. And she's like, I am not getting in the car with you. And I'm like, get in the fucking car.
At least she's not chasing you with a gun. Get in the damn car.
Yeah.
And
I was right. The
Yes.
the foster mommy is not in on it.
Yeah, she seems to not be in on it. Yeah, I had a picture. Like, I don't know what happens when I upload all these pictures and then they don't make it over to.
They're not the right size, and it doesn't show up.
I know, and I don't have time to like. Well, I don't have Photoshop anymore, which is one reason why I don't like resize them or whatever, and they don't make it in. But Kira seems to be. I mean, I think we all continue to be very disappointed in Kira, right? And that she came to this.
She did this in the first place. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I am less unhappy with her because of my new theory.
Okay, spill it.
All right.
Does it
So
involve this horrible person?
yes, sort of.
Now this is where I probably can't say anything because I know what's
So-
going
All
to
right. Well,
So,
then
so
I just don't.
because of this scene, when he's talking about Kira and her research in organ printing. So it sounds like she went into this to print organs. Somebody's got a bad heart, she prints you a new heart. They do an operation, and you got a new lease on life. Livers, whatever the case is. Okay, which is a very noble thing to do, and that's right. That makes lots of sense for Kira. Okay, I think here's my theory now. We don't know the whole backstory with Eleanor, with what happened to her or whatever. But I think it started out as they were printing up organs for Eleanor, and maybe she died or whatever, and Kathy Baker's character went off the deep end, and maybe Kira's plan was to print up a whole new Eleanor for her. And here's my theory. I think in the very first scene, when we see quote unquote Lucy for the first time, I don't think that's Lucy. I think that's maybe Eleanor. And then I think it was maybe a bad accident or something. Eleanor wakes up, she doesn't remember anything, and Kira's like, well, hold it, let's talk through this, blah, 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 whatever. And I think the next scene after she smashes the lamp, I think the next scene we see is Lucy, because Eleanor died and they pick her up from that moment. You know what I mean? Like they continue her from, kind of get what I'm getting at here.
Oh, you're okay. We just lost your audio, but I think you're saying, AJ, that when she wakes up, the lamp smasher in that first scene was the actual living original Eleanor who was born in the normal way. And then the second scene where we see Lucy waking up again and the lamp is there, that's Lucy, the copy, the printed copy.
Yes.
Huh. So it could be that Eleanor, terrible accident, or she could have had, I was assuming, a disease, but something that caused this young woman to die young. And Kira somehow was like, so she does at the end of the scene, Kira says, I'll tell you everything. But first of all, I want you to know that you were made from love. Right? And duh, because Eleanor, Melissa lost her daughter and Kira made a new daughter for her for some reason, which it's just so dumb. It's like, why would you do that? Like, in what way, Kira, do you not see that being a completely terrible, horrible idea? And I'm sorry that your loved one died, but this is what happens, right? Like, what is she going to just start replacing dead people?
You're still missing a big piece of everything. That's the problem. And that's why I'm just kind of sitting here.
You can't replace it. The world.
No, I still don't think you should have done
Don't
what
even
you did.
I'm not. We're missing a piece of something. We're talking about what we see on the screen.
No, I know, but I'm just saying.
That's why Karen and I have theories right now. Maybe next week we'll find out more.
I know.
Yeah, I know. Maybe we'll find out more, but I feel like from what I've seen of Kira, you can't do it. So she did it once, but when are you going to stop? And you can't just keep replacing. Everybody can't replace their loved one with a copy. First of all, the planet can't handle all those people. Second of all, it surely will become a thing only for the rich, right? And these are people who Kira. For Kira
should know better, basically.
She should. For Kira to not think of what it would do to somebody like Lucy to just wake up a fully grown woman with no idea, what? And then I guess Jules is I don't know,
I feel like they made Lucy to replace Eleanor, but she's too old to retain memories or something. So they said, all right, let's try making her a little younger. But I'm spitballing here because I don't understand the logistics behind it.
Or also, you know how people with Alzheimer's lose their most recent memories first, and they retain long, maybe they're like, oh, now let's make a little younger one. Let's make Jules. I don't even know. I also think maybe that Kira, she goes to a benevolent philanthropist billionaire, which I'm sorry, there is no billionaire. Right. Yeah, she goes to this guy to be like, oh, I need to help this poor lady, blah, blah, pay me, help me. And then he's like, whatever he's up to. I don't really know why he wants to kill Lucy because,
I think it's more to contain her. I don't think it's necessarily he wants to kill her. I think he just wants to contain the problem.
Because he told the agents they can kill her. And they
but I think it's more because he doesn't want her to cause problems for them.
What problems is she causing? She didn't even they sent a guy to kill her.
Well, I don't think it's legal that they printed somebody.
No, but they sent a guy to kill her. Well, then they should have done it in the what? You do it and now you're like, we gotta kill her. They sent a guy to kill her and that guy got killed, right? Lucy.
No, they sent a guy. No, they sent a guy to kidnap her and he got killed.
Okay, they had to kidnap her. Whatever.
They tried to kill her though. He wasn't supposed to. I don't think.
They did this, and yeah. Why Kira would trust? I'm sorry. Did Sarah? She learn nothing from her 5 cloned aunties, or really, she's got 1,000 cloned aunties.
Yeah,
right. Kira. I really would like this show.
The next chapter, I was surprised.
I would really like this show to explain to me how Kira went down this road. I don't think this show is going to get renewed. I think it's not that good. Honestly, I don't love this show, and it's not in comparison to Orphan Black, the original. It's not as good as that, but it's not fair to compare it. This show is just not that. I'm starting to like Jules better. I particularly like Jules in scenes with Wes. I didn't love Jules that much until maybe this episode.
That's what I'm saying. I feel like this episode things are
Yeah.
finally.
I really like this episode. I think, and this is just my opinion, but I think the show may have done better if they dropped it all at once. Because I feel like, I mean, I even said after I watched it that like it took a while to get into it, and like after having seen the whole thing, like I really liked it.
You know what, James? But
I
James,
think a lot of people aren't gonna like necessarily stick around. I don't know. I mean,
well, and we talk about this all the time. You know, you can't say, "Oh, I think this is a," you know, if you keep watching it, it gets better. But if you don't hook an audience to start with, nobody.
No, you're not wrong.
Especially in this world of streaming, if you're not hooked by second or third episode, I mean, I'm gonna, you know, I'm watching it because I love the first show. I have faith in the creators because what they gave me with Orphan Black. So I'm going to keep watching it. I'm glad that, you know, what was this episode 4?
4, yeah.
You know, I'm glad.
Yeah, I just think a lot of people are more willing to give it.
Let AJ finish his sentence there.
I usually give a show 4 episodes, you know, anyway, you know, at least. You know, but I'm glad that it's this. I feel this is the best episode. You know, the other episodes maybe they were set up, maybe you know, whatever. I do gotta say though, I mean, I like Charlie, but I feel like Jack is just hanging out. I don't really care about Jack.
You don't care about who? You're dropping out. You don't care about
Jack.
Oh, is that the boyfriend? Jack?
Yeah.
Like, there's kind of too many characters. Like Jack and is that his
Charlie's his daughter. Or you talking about Tina?
The woman they're living with, is that his ex-wife or his sister
or
his friend?
She's just a friend.
Tina, she's his friend from his Marine days. Or Army, whatever they were in.
Oh, she's a friend from the Army. That's right. She was in the Army. They were in the Army together. Yeah, I mean, I feel like we could drop Jack and Charlie and it wouldn't really like affect the story. That maybe it's coming, but I feel like that part of the story is not
I don't think they developed their characters quite enough. I was just saying before, I was saying like I just think that like I like this show. I do. I just think that some people are more willing. I get what you guys are saying. You do have to hook an audience in the beginning. I just think that a lot of people are more willing to give a show more time if it's there all at once and they just continue on and binge it as opposed to having to wait each week. Because I think a lot of people, if they have to keep waiting, they just don't bother coming back.
Yes, but I feel like that's watching it out of inertia because you're too lazy to change a channel. So let's just watch it.
But I think I think people's watching habits change though. I think a lot of people watch TV like that's how they watch it.
Yeah, but it's
because I feel like if I had watched, I think that's true of a lot of things though. Because I feel like if I had watched even like The Acolyte, like I don't love it,
yeah,
kind of boring. But I feel like if it was there all at once and I sat down to watch it, I may have just watched the whole thing through. But if we weren't doing the podcast, I probably would have not come back after the second episode or whatever. I probably wouldn't have bothered. Because I didn't care enough. By the time the week's up, like I've forgotten a lot of it, and it's like, eh.
Well, that's very telling of The Acolyte itself,
right? But I'm just saying, like, but at the same time, if it was there from the beginning, I probably would have just watched the whole thing. Just because I think people have different watching habits now, and they do, like, you have to care more than you used to in order to come back. Because a lot of times people would rather watch it at once. That's just my opinion. I just think or all these different shows and creators and whatnot who are spitting stuff out left and right. Stop spitting out so much shit and take the time to actually make something good.
So I have watched shows that are bad just because I was like, I'm going to spend 5 hours on the couch today not doing anything, and like I've done that. I think that this show, I mean, I don't know if it would have done better dropped at once. I think so. There are shows that I love watching. I don't want to watch House of the Dragon all at once. I want to watch it week by week and talk about it and dissect it. And I don't want to, let me tell you about the upcoming season of Snowpiercer, right? I don't recommend watching that. I recommend week to week. I don't remember binging it. I don't think it's a good idea. But this show, I think when you give it the name Orphan Black, maybe people are more willing to stick with it to see what happens. I'm not sure if naming it Orphan Black, like, is a benefit or like a disadvantage, like, because it will always be compared to the original Orphan Black
There's
because
an
its name is
expectation.
Orphan Black, right? There's an expectation,
Yeah.
but also there's maybe a willingness to stick with it. Like, I don't know where that decision is made. You could have made this show and not had Kira Manning, have this woman just be a doctor who had this idea, and not had it be Kira Manning. And it might be mostly the same show. I don't know what's going to happen with Kira in the next few weeks, but the 4 episodes I've seen so far, it doesn't really matter that she's Kira or not. It actually just makes me like dislike her more, the fact that she's Kira, right?
Because
Like,
we can't
Yes,
understand her
I
choice.
agree. I think yes. I think if this is not Kira, if this is just some random person doing this, I think it might even help the show, because our probably our biggest gripe every week is, Kira, what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
And we spend so much focus on that instead of everything else, which is what we should be focusing on.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, look, we're still going to watch it, and not.
Oh, yeah.
I've watched
It's not
shows I
bad.
don't like just because we're watching them together. This is not
Yeah.
that. I
No.
trust the creators also.
Yeah, and it's not bad. It's not like, I mean, the first 3 episodes, there was no reason I wasn't like, oh, I don't know if I could take any more. You know what I mean? Like, everything's been intriguing. It's just, I feel like this episode, things finally started moving a little.
Yeah.
And they'll keep moving. What I think is interesting is watching it the second time. I actually, without obviously saying what any of them are, I actually see like a lot of clues to what's going on that I definitely did not pick up on the first time I watched it.
I feel like there might be more clues in this dream, in this bathroom, right? Like, they only spent a couple minutes in the bathroom and they like saw the tile. They're like, oh, look at the tile underneath this crappy linoleum. There's the tile. And do you hear that noise? And they figured out the noise was the
Weather
thing
vane
or whatever. But they didn't really get anywhere in terms of what happened in that bathroom, what's with the knife. Like, and like, there was a time where I was like, oh, did Eleanor like kill herself? But it doesn't really point to that the way it they're like, why is it a hunting knife, and what's with that pile?
Yeah, well, let's say my thought process
in the mirror, not
we found
whatever happened. So I don't know that would make sense.
We found mom, but we don't know about anything about dad. So maybe that's because he got left in the bathroom.
Yeah, I mean, maybe she came into the bathroom and found a person dead.
We'll find out maybe next week when Kira explains everything.
Oh yeah, Kira's like, I'll tell you everything. But when she said, first of all, well, you're made from love, I like wanted to puke.
You know what's gonna happen? You know what's gonna happen? It's one of those where, oh, I want to tell you everything. So next week's episode is gonna have nothing with Kira and Lucy in it at all. They're gonna make us wait 2 weeks.
I believe, granted, I don't remember the order of things, but I do think next week a lot gets explained.
I'm saying that because a lot shows do that.
No, I know they do.
Look at the Acolyte. The Acolyte had, the Acolyte OSHA puts the helmet on, and rather than continue that, we get the backstory, and we'll have to wait till the finale for that part. You know what I mean? Like, shows do that type of shit all the time.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think that she does explain it next week if I remember what happened in the order right. I did want to say, I'm not going to go into who, because you guys haven't seen enough yet to know, but I do have an interview coming up for Orphan Black Echoes, and I will play part of it on the show next week.
I hope it's
this be able to put up till after the episode airs, but
I want you to interview Wes, this kid who plays Wes. Wes is one of my favorites. But Wes gave it up in a second. Wes is the worst. The mother.
You knew he was gonna crack. You knew there was no way.
Barely asked a question. She's like, "Where's?" Do you see how he started itching and scratching himself? He was getting nervous, and
he gets hives or whatever whenever
and then he's like, "Oh, this lady kid, like what?"
I know she didn't even get kidnapped that time. She willingly went. That was kind of like.
Well, he kind of blurted out the events of the past couple days.
Yeah.
And not well. He just kind of blurted
not
it out.
Not well at all. No. Yeah. But at least it does seem like she's not part of it, which actually kind of surprised me because I expected, and I guess this is because of the original Orphan Black, and we had sort of mentioned this at the beginning of the show. In Orphan Black, you had the people that you found out were their handlers or whatever, and I really expected that there was going to be like people that you didn't expect, you know, that were in on it or whatever.
She could still be. Look, she can be in on it and still want to protect Jules from evil Reed Diamond trying to basically kill everyone, right? Like, just because she maced him in the face, which was kind of awesome, doesn't mean she isn't in on it from what we've seen, right? Like, she can be in on it and be protective of this child that she's trying to make her daughter. The grandfather's in on it for sure, and I think the father's in on it.
No, I think the foster father is just a jerk.
Oh, that's possible also.
Yeah, possible.
All right. Well, we have a couple. Jamie's going to drop off soon, so
yes.
Before we move on, Jamie, what you got besides Orphan Black?
Well,
Snowpiercer. We should have a Snowpiercer article going up maybe tomorrow if I can get it done.
Yeah, I was going to say depends when Karen gets it done. Yeah, and obviously Arc comes out tomorrow. So
the Arc, not Arc. Arc does not come out
Arc
tomorrow.
does not come out tomorrow.
Arc's not in any place that we know of.
Comes out tomorrow.
What does? The Arc. The Arc comes tomorrow.
The Arc comes out tomorrow. So those interviews will be going up because at least the one is embargoed till after the episode.
Can you say who it is?
No, because we don't know who all survived. That's why they're because we can't.
Right.
So, but there's interviews with some of the cast, and I'm gonna try to put probably the one up beforehand. But the one interview anyway is embargoed. The other ones with Christy Burke and the producers. That part's okay because we know.
You can be pretty sure that Christy Burke doesn't die.
Yeah, we know she's in the main. She's in the other. They're the ones that we knew survived. It was the rest of the crew we didn't know what happened to. So yeah, but the other one's an embargo one. But those will be going up, and then also and also the interview for me went up. What I want to talk about because we didn't talk about that. Did you ever end up watching any of that before?
Any of what?
Of me, we had sort of mentioned this.
Oh no, I didn't watch any of me.
Okay. That went up. And then I have an interview for Evil that will be going up soon too, but it's post episode 10. So that will be coming. I know you guys don't watch it anymore, but that will be coming. And I think, and Snowpiercer, those are the basic ones that are coming out. But yeah, the Arc's on tomorrow, so
Jamie, you will not be watching Snowpiercer, right? You're too far behind.
No, I'll watch Snowpiercer.
You are. You're caught up on. Oh yeah, you did watch Snowpiercer last year. Yeah,
I watched Snowpiercer. I don't remember a lot of it now. I'd have to go back and read what happened because it's been too long. But yes, I was caught up on Snowpiercer. I haven't watched the new ones yet. I was going to wait aired unless we do more interviews and you don't want to do them. But
Yeah, you might want to read a recap or rewatch the
definitely
the last episode. But it's a pretty fresh start because the train got
seeing previews though. It looks good. So
I'm going to tell you guys that I watched it, and this is not a show that you should watch all at once. You should not binge it because the tension. I watched it. I binged it in 2 sittings, and the tension from each episode was so high that I was getting really nervous and stressed out.
But it was hard to binge it that much, huh?
And it was hard. I need to watch an hour and then I can't wait to watch it again and have a week in between to chill out. And then it's crazy. Week after week, episode after episode, I was like, oh my God, I can't take it.
That's funny. Yeah. Well, I will be put up soon, hopefully, if you send it to me.
Yep. Tomorrow. Yeah. Hopefully tomorrow.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's about it. That was the new stuff. So yeah,
okay.
I guess that's it for me. I will jump off. My only other comment, and I don't even know if she's still there, is Arc needs to check her messages because I have been trying to get a hold of Ark for a while. And at least if she's listening to this at some point, she'll probably know that. If
Okay. Answer your DMs, Ark.
Yeah. But anyway.
All right,
guys. Well, and like I said, I'll have next week. I'll put the clips of the Orphan Black Echoes interview up too. So, yeah. All right. Well, I will go then. You guys talk about House of the Dragon, and I didn't realize you guys. You told me. I guess you had already known it. I didn't know it that the Lazarus Project wasn't renewed, and now I'm kind of like, should I even bother? Is it still worth? I mean, I think it's still worth.
Well, of course. I mean, why is a show that doesn't go for like a million years not worth watching?
True. That's true,
right? Like,
but I enjoyed what I seen. I just got so far behind.
Yeah. I mean, a show can be one season and be totally worth watching if it's
true,
right? I mean, yeah, I don't think a show being canceled is a reason not to. It didn't get canceled because it's bad. It got canceled because who understands television nowadays?
That's a good point. Speaking of cancellations. Reginald the Vampire was also canceled. I know you guys aren't watching that, but coming back for season 3. So there isn't that many sci-fi on anymore. I wish they'd quit ending them. They need to get more of them. Yeah. But anyway, okay.
All right.
Next week
we're gonna move it along
Ark too. So
all right.
Okay.
Cool.
Bye, guys.
All right. Bye.
Bye, Jamie.
Bye. All right. This was the Lazarus Project episode 6.
Sure, why not?
I think, sure, why not? Episode 6. It's hard to.
Honestly, that's the funny thing. I don't know what episodes anything are anymore. I just watch each week.
It was episode 6. It was definitely episode 6. There are 2 more, right? I think it ran 8.
No, I got one.
You can't find anything on this show. There's like nobody's covering it, nobody's talking about it, nobody. We watched episode 6 this week. There will be I guess there's 2 more. I guess it goes 8. Who even knows? It was okay episode. The return of Shiv was in this episode, which was nice to to see, right? Because Shiv got left behind because he's been shot 50 times. I got a new picture of Shiv, which I'm really excited about, which is this one, because the guy is always getting shot. So this is the episode where the gang goes back to 2012, and it's interesting. Like every time they try to go back and they reset, Operation Midnight happens earlier and earlier. It keeps getting bumped up and bumped up and bumped up, right? And they barely have arrived when not only does Operation Midnight happen, but they run into major problems with like the dynamic duo Shiv and Rebrov of 2012. Throw a giant wrench in the works. So, which was kind of fun. I mean, in a terrible way that made everybody get killed. Right? That's kind of the heart of the episode, right, AJ?
Yeah, I mean...
Oh, I can't hear you.
One thing about watching this show, I'm sitting there, I said to myself, I was like, I hate this show. Because there's no one to root for. Everyone is awful.
Like that person and that person. And Janet is the only person that's not horrible.
Depends on which Janet we're talking about.
Well, Janet, okay. I mean, Janet, so the Janet who made detonators for bombs in 2023, yeah, that Janet is not a great person, maybe, right?
Becky's a good person. How about that?
Becky's a pretty good person. Yeah. I mean, she's shot her fair share of people, but they kind of, she shoots the Dane every time, and the Dane deserves it. I think I deleted my picture of the team.
That's something that kind of, I mean, I guess I kind of get it, but my first instinct about them leaving, they left the Dane on the plane to be found. I was like, why leave the body?
because they don't have time because
Yeah, I guess.
they got, they think they have 4 days to Operation Midnight. Turns out they have less, but I mean, they did have a conversation. They gave him a chance. They were like, "Hey, we know what's in your bag. What's going on?" And he's like, "Oh, I was told to like clean everything up. There can't be any evidence." And they were like, "What about Janet?" And he's like, "Oh, I have to, everyone. What about Janet?" And when he finally admits he's going to have to kill Janet, they shoot him. Becky shoots him in the head. So I guess he's supposed to kill both Janets, or I guess Operation Midnight. Ross, they're going to let Ross from the original Operation Midnight kill one Janet, and the Dane will kill the other Janet, or he's just supposed to make sure everybody gets killed one way or the other, right? The original Operation Midnight didn't kill; it killed Dr. West, but not the scientists, right?
Right. I don't know why you think her name is West all the time.
Why do I call her West? Oh, you know what? My dentist, the guy who did surgery on my tooth last week, is named Dr. West. That's why I have Dr. West on the brain.
Well,
Dr. West.
My favorite scene, actually, because you see it coming a mile away, is Sarah and George doing it in his childhood bed.
Oh, yeah.
I thought that was hilarious. As soon as she came in the room, I was like, oh, yeah, he's totally getting laid in his bed that he never got laid in before.
Yeah. Yeah. Although they make me sick, like having sex again. Like she has said to him, I have no interest in you. And he has said, like, well, then maybe you should stop having sex with me. And then they both just keep having, like, which is the, like, I always thought he was
worse.
Who's worse, right? Like, she knows that he's in love with her, and she's told, like, right? Like, so she's kind of using him, but he also, like, will not get the hint of how many things he has done wrong by her, and that she doesn't love him. And he's just always like, I mean, if I was there, I'd be like, stop telling me you love me. Stop, right?
Yeah.
Like,
so here's one thing about the episode that kind of, like, after all hell breaks loose and everybody's dead, and we're like, what do we do now? And I'm thinking, why do anything? July 1st is a checkpoint. You all know this.
yeah.
So why are you so concerned with it? But as it continues, we find out that Bryson is Wes's son. Like, I kind of figured he was the son of her partner. That's
that guy.
That's funding. I don't even know his name. That's funding.
I don't know his name either.
That's funding the Icarus project.
Yeah.
So I kind of figured that. To find out that Wes was his mother was a little shocking because I hadn't really thought that far ahead. But he's the reason of the checkpoint. She turns on the machine because he dies. They created the checkpoint on July 1st.
You think but the anomaly exists. She didn't create an anomaly out in space that
No, she didn't create the anomaly, but she turned it on.
Oh, she's going to reset. She
did the reset on July 1st because Bryson died.
On July 1st. But so she started resetting back in 2012 when he died?
Yes. That's why July 1st, 2012 is a reset. Because
Bryson died. But Bryson only died because he was sent back in time in 2020.
Actually, he was sent in forward. Well, he was sent, but yeah, the whole Bryson thing I haven't figured out because I don't understand why he bloops around to wherever George is.
Well, he dropped out of the sky. He fell out of the sky into the gas station. What is with that?
I know. I know because remember when because we find that out when Becky talks to him the one time, and he said something to Becky tells him that George is actually going to save the day, and for whatever reason, and then Bryson, I think when he was talking to George himself, he's like, I don't know why. He goes, but wherever you are, I have to be too. Like,
wait, so wherever you are, I have to be
George, yeah, wherever George is. That's how Bryson ends up in 2024.
He blooped, so he's not from 2024.
No, he's from
2020.
Last night he was in 2023. Went back in time with Janet to 2012, and then bloops to 2024.
Somehow we don't know how he didn't
and
live.
Then bloops back.
Becky lived all those years. Bryson didn't live all those
and
years.
then bloops back to 2012, even though he's already there.
Yeah, that's crazy because that seems to like not be within the rules that the show has established.
I don't understand all that myself. So I'm sure maybe, and we might never find out because that might not be something they tackle this season. With only
that might not get answered by this season. I mean,
Yeah.
I thought Bryson became a little bit more sympathetic. I complained last week that I don't like how he looks to be like kind of like I did notice last week when they took the family selfie that, you know, Becky and Janet are very close together on one side of the picture, and Bryson is definitely like a little bit separated from them in the picture. And yet they do, by all appearances, they're not just faking, like they do seem to get along, right?
Yeah.
I don't know. I'd like a little more movement on the whole part where like he wants to kill George because of what George did or is going to do, and then Becky's like, no, don't kill him because of what he's going to do.
Well, I feel like George. I just have this funny feeling that George kills his father.
That George kills who?
Bryson's father.
Well, that guy seems to be the heavy, right? Like he seems to be like a bad guy and a worse guy maybe than Wes.
But I don't. But here's the thing: I don't know how George kills. But see, I don't know. There's a flaw in my theory there because they're in 2012, and you can't kill him in 2012 because we know he actually is. No, wait. Do we know that he's around later?
Who?
We don't.
George?
The guy that leads the Icarus Project.
We've only seen him.
The
latest we've seen of him was when Janet gets sent back in 2013. He's present then, right?
So there's a flaw in my theory there because if he's in 2023, then George can't kill him in 2012 where they currently are.
Yeah, is that guy? No, that's Wes and George. I don't know where it's going to come around to. George being really sort of the guy that everybody revolves around, although things have really changed. I mean, we also had. I probably should show this one as nicer, but I just really love this picture. You know, part of what happened in 2012 was Shiv's mother dying, and he didn't go to the hospital and say goodbye to her because he was investigating the plane.
Yeah.
I mean, it was interesting how they quickly put together that the plane is, he and Wes, 2012 Wes, quickly put together that the plane is from the future. Although Wes was already.
He didn't tell Wes. He only told
Rebrov.
He only tells Dennis and Ross.
Yeah, he doesn't tell Wes. That's right. He tells Dennis and Ross that, but he figured out quickly that this plane hasn't been built yet.
Yeah.
And then he sees, like, I loved when he sees the picture of Rebrov, and then he's like, I gotta get Rebrov.
Yeah.
And you know, he's like, that could be me, or it could just be a big bloke in a jumper, or in a hat, or whatever he says. And you know, they see each other, they shoot each other, which is unbelievable, kind of, right? Like, I don't know. I guess for some people, your first reaction would be to shoot that person. I think for a lot of other people would be to talk to that person, you know. And then the other one Rebrov shoots Becky. First he kills future Rebrov. Then he kills like Becky. He doesn't know that Becky's his son. Like, everybody gets shot. Everybody gets killed, except of course George, Sarah, and Becky. George, Sarah, and Becky survive.
Becky got shot.
Oh, Becky got shot, right.
Yeah.
George, Sarah, and then Bryson is like, let me help get you out of here. And they're in the car, but Bryson's been shot, right?
Yeah, the third survivor was Samson.
Was this guy.
Yeah.
Dr. Samson, yeah. But Bryson looks like he's gonna die, but I guess
he did die.
Yeah, I guess he'll just bloop in again sooner or later,
well,
right? Yeah. They'll reset.
Yeah, it'll reset.
I mean, even if George and Sarah can't stay alive, they'll reset and be alive again on July 1st. And
exactly,
you know, they'll all remember. So both Rebrovs will remember. She'll remember. They'll all remember. Like, this is going to get crazy. I can't wait to see. There's only 2 more episodes. I can't wait to see what happens.
Well, everybody is alive again because we've already reset because Shiv went to see his mother. And Dennis is on his way to the house.
Yeah. We've already reset it. Yeah. So yeah, I can't even wait to see like where this is going. I
Yeah.
can't believe the show got canceled. It's so great.
I know. And I told you guys in text that I was, reading up on it because I was trying to see if maybe like I read, somewhere that like they're shopping it or something. But apparently, the creator of the show is doing other shows with SkyMax, and he's just continuing to work with them on his other shows. And I didn't see anything about trying to shop this around. But what boggles my mind is it was SkyMax's number 2 rated show. Critics absolutely loved it. So I don't know why. And their response was, we've just decided to move on from this project.
Yeah, I mean, it won a BAFTA. At least one BAFTA.
Well, yeah, it won a BAFTA. Ironically, it won a BAFTA for special effects.
Oh, I can't hear you. You got to deal with your mic.
It won a BAFTA for special effects.
Oh, for special effects. It won a BAFTA for special effects. Okay. So, I mean, not one of the major top awards, but still. Still a great episode. I especially loved the Shiv like backstory, how he then decides to go, like he makes the decision to go to his mother's bedside the next night, right? Even though he knows like all this crazy stuff is happening, he's like, okay, I'm gonna get Rebrov and like you go do it because I'm gonna go be where I'm supposed to be, which is with my mother, right?
Yeah.
And because like, I mean, he didn't know that she was going to die, but I would imagine with every reset, that's what he's going to do. Like, how would you ever not do that? Like every single time you'd want to be with your mother, right? Although there's a part of it that, I don't know, like, could you really live with I don't know. That's a hard thing to go through over and over and over again, right? I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean, I was glad to see him do it. He's the only person that we really know anything about their family. Like George mentioned, like, oh, my parents went to Ghana for a month, and all of a sudden, I'm like, oh, George has parents. I mean, everybody has parents, but nobody really. Yeah. He was the only person that we've really seen any part of his family life in season 1. We saw, like, he was a teenager when he started experiencing the reset. He's probably been dealing with it the longest out of anyone. So, anywho.
All right.
Moving along to we always save House of the Dragon for last. Where am I with this show? Here we are. Team Black is in the house. All Team Black here. This episode was a little less dramatic. Nothing like no major deaths this episode. But a lot of people are in like things are going bad for both sides of the war, right? And even people who like you think things are going well, but you're wrong. Things are not going well. Like Team Green, like they think they had a big victory, but did they? Like Aemond is like, oh, we had a great victory, maybe, but other people are like, really? Was it a great victory?
It was a great victory for Aemond.
I mean, it was a great victory for Aemond. Yeah, he has himself like right where he wants to be now. Here he is, Ewan Mitchell. I mean, that's a great scene at the end. I don't want to rush to the end, but where he's like eyeing up the Iron Throne, and you could tell he was going to go sit on it until his sister walks in.
Yeah, Helena's like just giving him that look.
His sister / sister-in-law. So yeah, he is like really where he wants to be. He's the acting king, the regent. They made him regent. Yeah. And I think that here's a good picture of him also. That's where he's like looking at his brother, right? When they bring Aegon. Yeah. He's certain other people are not really in the place where certain other people are not in a good place right now.
That was a good scene right there.
Yeah.
I love that scene because they get done with their little argument, and she gets the last word, and she says to him, she's like, I did not give you leave to use my name.
Yeah. I've never heard him say her name before.
I love Ark.
So
Ark called Aegon a toasted marshmallow.
I said it was a lot slower, but good steps moving forward. Toasted marshmallow. Aegon not doing so well. Yeah, you can tell that Allison suspects that this has happened, right? Like she kind of suspects, I think, that it's not an accident that Aegon was roasted. And in this, she asks several times. I don't know if it's exactly in this scene, but she asks more than once, and maybe here also. She's like, "What happened?" And he won't tell her what happened. He says, "Oh, Aegon fought valiantly." Maybe he says it at the small council or something. He says Aegon fought valiantly or whatever, and they give each other a look because everybody knows that is not true. That Aegon was drunk. He flew out there. He didn't know what he was doing, and the idea that he put on this amazing performance and that he killed Rhaena and Meleys is just not possible, right? Like everybody knows it was Aemond. He's got the biggest dragon. He's a better dragon rider. He was not drunk at the time. Everybody knows.
Yeah, like Ark says, she knows because Aemond has she saw the dagger that Aemond has.
Oh yeah, she saw the dagger in his belt. Yeah, that he took his brother's dagger from. We commented. We had a discussion about that last week. But yeah, he takes the dagger. And so she definitely knows from that, and she knows her sons, right? And she knows that neither one of them is suited to rule. She knows that Rhaenyra is the best one. So, and then Kristen Cole, I guess he has to sort of go along with it because it's kind of his fault. Like nobody on this show is able to make a good plan. They all suck at planning.
Actually, well, you know what? I'm not a big Cole supporter, but Cole's plan was actually good. To have Aemond and Vhagar hiding in the trees when they were taking over whatever the Rook's Rest or whatever the hell that place is called.
Rook's Rest.
That was a good
Rook's Rest, yeah.
Yeah, that was a good plan. Aegon is actually what screwed the plan up. Aegon showing up out of nowhere. I mean, it's actually worked in their favor, but Aegon showing up is what screwed it all up. Having Aemond and Vhagar hiding out was actually
fair. Although there are people who've made an argument, including Otto Hightower, maybe definitely Rhaenyra, have argued that fighting with dragons is a bad scene, and it's not, it's not the only way to win a war. It's not the best way to win a war, and it's not controllable. So it worked, but bringing up the dragons should be.
Tell that to Aegon the Conqueror, who conquered Westeros using a dragon.
Well, and I mean, it was also a bad plan. So I would say Aegon totally, Aemond can't be trusted. If you are Kristen Cole, who has a tiny little mind and are not that smart and are driven by deep-seated emotional problems, and you make a plan behind everyone's back with Aemond, it's guaranteed that he's thinking 5 steps ahead of you, and it's not necessarily going the way you thought it was going to go, right?
Yeah.
I mean, this guy's just kind of a dummy, and I think he won't talk about it, partly because I think he. No matter how you might feel about Aemond as a ruler, he was the head of the Kingsguard, and he now has been dereliction of duty when the baby was killed, and now Aemond is, for all intents and he's going to die, right? There's no way he's going to live. He's going to die. 2 of them. Why is he still head of the Kingsguard? The king.
He's not. He's just a hand.
Not anymore. Yeah. He's became hand. He's hand to the king. I don't think Aemond will keep him around as hand.
Well, the funny thing is, as the hand of the king, he shouldn't be leading the battles.
No, he shouldn't. He should be staying home with the king, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, maybe Aemond will keep him around his hand because having a dummy hand, a guy not that bright hand, suits him, right? Because he won't have anybody. He can still play his games.
Well, it suited Aegon too, because Cole didn't make Aegon feel inadequate.
Yeah. So how'd you like that scene? I want to like. There's a couple of great scenes. Is it this scene? Oh no, this is when they're trying to get out of King's Landing. But there's the scene when they are bringing when they're bringing Aegon when they're bringing the dragon head into King's Landing, and no one notices that they've got this little like wooden cage behind it that like Aegon is all like wrapped up and hidden in there, right? And they think so. The dragon head is a great distraction, but that totally backfires on Kristen Cole also, right? Kristen Cole is like, let's like show off this dragon head, and the people will be so excited. They'll right. Everyone's like, oh, that is not what do they say? That's a bad omen. Is like one of the things that people had to say. Like killing a dragon is. One guy says, "Oh, I thought dragons were gods." It really has. So the Team Green sucks in the public relations department. Like first they hang all these rat catchers all over the place, then they bring a dragon head around town.
Which Aegon rectified it though, because his first order of business as Lord Protector, he says, "Cut down the fucking rat catchers."
Yep. But his second order of business is like nobody gets out of King's Landing, right? Like everybody's starving to death. Let's lock them in here. Like I'm not sure that's gonna go real well. Like
no,
why?
No,
like I'm not really sure.
People are turning. The people are turning on King's Landing.
Yes, and I'm not really sure, including this is the blacksmith, Hugh the blacksmith, right here with his like sick child and his wife or whatever. And his wife has been like for like the whole season, she's been like, "Can we get out of this dump?" And he's like, "No, we have to stay." But the people, I'm not really sure why you would want to keep people in there, because it seems obvious they're all already starving, and they're going to turn on you. Like I'm not sure what the benefit is of keeping them there, but that is his decision. I think Aegon, I think a big lesson of this, Aegon is a little bit of a Matt Smith kind of guy. So Daemon had a similar issue. They both faced this issue.
Daemon has lots of issues.
But I feel like what's going on in King's Landing and what's going on at Harrenhal are a little bit similar, that this woman, Alice Stone, she keeps saying like, okay, you guys go to war and it's the small folk who suffer.
Yes.
And I think Aegon has something in common with Daemon in that they both like do not get that at all. And that you got to keep the small folk on your side. The small folk are the people who are going to like, fight the war, and like the women and children are like, that was a real parallel in this episode, I thought, between them. So he wants to keep so Aemon wants to keep people in the city so they can't spread their mistrust of what happened to Aegon, what happened to the dragon, what's going on with Aemon. So like it's a part of like, I mean, I don't want to say rumor control, but sort of, right? He wants to keep them in there so they can't, so their bad attitude can't spread.
So speaking of Daemon,
yes,
he had quite the week. I love when he was like, okay, he's like, I have a dragon, you're gonna bend the knee, we're not gonna have a conversation. They're like, I would rather be burnt to crisp, and he's like, shit, they called my bluff. but I gotta say, for Daemon, that's a smart move, because you think back to Game of Thrones, Dany burned everybody.
Yep.
So Daemon was like, all right, I need swords, I need people, we got to think of other ways to sway them to our side. And then he tells the
Blackwells, the Blackfeet.
Yeah, which I keep forgetting which one's the Brackens and which one's the Blackwells.
The Blackwells are the ones who Daemon told the Blackwells to go persecute the Brackens, right?
Okay, that's what it is. I'm pretty
sure that's how it went. That Daemon.
We have another person in our chat, Shamar. Hello.
I'm pretty sure that, yeah, Damon thinks that the Blackwoods are gonna like persuade House Bracken by like stealing their livestock, burning their fields, raping their women, whatever it is they're doing, right? Is how he's gonna sway them to come over to his side.
No, but that's not what Damon thought. He said he's like get creative in convincing them. Damon did not expect them because you see the look on his face when the other lords are like, "This is what they did," and Damon's like, "Oh shit."
Well, what did you think was going to happen? What did you think was going to happen? They hated each other for like 300 years, right?
I don't think he thought it through.
Oh, what, Damon not thinking something through? Yeah, I guess, right?
And he's still having hallucinations, and now I got so
that's his dead wife.
He's hallucinating everybody, including having sex with his mother.
Having kind of like pretty like graphic kind of sex scenes with his mother, right? Like that was a little.
But I think the important part there is though his mother's telling him that he should have been king. It shouldn't have been Viserys.
You're the smartest. You're the prettiest. You're my favorite.
But the best part of it is, and then it segues into because he's just loose. He doesn't know when he's awake, when he's asleep, whatever. But it segues into the scene where the duck is just like dripping, and they're like, "If you don't like the duck, try the goose." And when I was listening to Roger's show last night, Art points out that, it's kind of twofold. So I made the joke. Basically, what they're saying is, if you don't like your mommy, try your niece.
Well, I mean, that's... yeah. Except that the mother thing was like truly just a hallucination, whereas he did marry his niece, right?
Yes.
Yeah, he's really, I'm not sure what's going on there because we saw him take the drug last week. And I guess maybe this drug that Alice gave him is a long acting drug. Although I think he was having hallucinations kind of before that. Like, I don't know what's going on with that. Meanwhile, like, shit is going to get crazier at Harrenhal because Jacaerys decided to go to the twins. Right, he takes his dragon, he flies out to the twins to meet with the Freys, and he
was great, and he is a brilliant negotiator.
He was good, except for being a little baby who like went behind the queen's back. But
I was gonna say, but you probably shouldn't be making promises in your mother's name.
I mean, giving them Harrenhal, it would be kind of a big deal because meanwhile, Damon's at Harrenhal trying to like get those guys to come.
Yeah. You know what the great thing about promising things during wartime? Only the side that wins actually has to worry about following through.
Well, except these guys are on the same side and they've kind of promised to help. Like, Damon promises to help Harrenhal, and then Jace promises to like give it away. And we know that the Freys don't own it in 100 years in Game of Thrones.
We also don't know what happens in the next 200 years. The Freys could own it and then lose it. Who knows? I doubt it.
Possible, yeah. But Jace was great. He was really great. And I loved like his scene that he has. He has a scene with his mother, where she's kind of actually this shot is from later, but she's kind of pissed. She's like, you did a great job. I'm really proud of you, and I'm also really mad at you because I didn't give you permission, but. What she is kind of jealous, right? That he went out and did something and that she has to stay because she's the queen. Although she hasn't really had any good ideas yet. Well, Edmund and Cole went behind Aegon's back, so what's the difference? Well, yeah. It's the same thing, I guess. Yeah, except it's kind of the same thing, yeah. I mean,
nobody should be going behind anybody's back in these situations.
I mean, Rhaenyra. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying, especially when you're on the same side, nobody should be going behind anybody's back.
No, you're right. And Rhaenyra is kind of in a similar position that Aegon was in that she wasn't raised to really know anything about running a kingdom. Like her father was just like, oh, here, fill my cup and then go find a husband, right? Like Viserys didn't really like raise her in a way that he should have because he really wasn't committed to her as queen until late. And then he also didn't raise Aegon to know anything. Like, he really did a shitty job of
Oh.
raising his heirs, right?
Well, not for nothing. I mean, nobody was raising anybody for wartime because they were in a time of peace, you know? So,
Okay, but they weren't really raising these kids to, yeah, I guess. And then Rhaenyra's got the whole extra, like, oh, you're just a woman, what do you know, kind of thing. And
right.
she's like, well, you guys haven't been in any battles either. There's been peace for 100 years. And they're like, they have nothing to say to that, right? I mean, they are not a good council because they want to complain, but they don't have any suggestions, right? They're like, we need to be doing something. And Rhaenyra's like, what should we do? And they're like, I don't know, but you shouldn't do it. They're not real full of ideas, those guys. But I thought through this episode in particular, it started, I really started to see how Rhaenyra needs to stand up and lead a little bit better. Like, she leads from behind. I don't know. They're all committed to her, but like committed to her because of they believe like Viserys wanted her. They're not committed to her because they're like, wow, she's so charismatic and brilliant. Let me definitely like when you get to Game of Thrones, like Dany, people followed her just because of her sheer force of will. Right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, to be fair, during that small council meeting, she says, you know, she's having that conversation with one lord, and she's like, you've seen as much battle as I have. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Like, nobody has really, you know, but she's, you know, she is, you know, as much as she hates it herself, she's making some good moves. She sends him to Harrenhal to talk to Daemon. And I thought it was great that she says, yes, tell him I'd like to finish our last conversation. And the last conversation they had was, do you take me as your queen? And Daemon never answered her.
He clearly doesn't.
Well, I know that. I'm just saying. That's how it went down. We know it doesn't. He's calling himself the king.
He is. And he's telling people to call him the king. And
they're like consort. And he's like, we don't need that last part.
He actually, near the end of the episode, he says, well, I'm going to take King's Landing. And then when I take it over, Rhaenyra can just come and she can sit beside me, king and queen ruling together. He's trying to, he wants to usurp her also, right? He's using her to get to the Iron Throne. I wouldn't be surprised if he like killed her and then tried to take the throne himself once she gets it. He's really not a trustworthy or good guy in any way, right? I mean, she does have a real ace in the hole with her little spy there.
Yeah, Mysaria is becoming a very good advisor.
She really is. And I wonder kind of what her plan is, because we saw near the end of the episode that she sends one of her spies, says, I've got to go in and see somebody. And the guy lets her in. But we don't really know.
First the guy's like, well, surely she's dead. And she's like, no, Mysaria is alive. She sent me. And he's like, come over here to the side door.
She goes, oh, do you think she would die without collecting her due?
Yeah. She, no. I mean, I don't know exactly what the plan is, but the plan has something to do, like, you know, with the small folk. Because Mysaria said something very similar, too, that Alice had said, and, you know, it's the small folk who actually rule, you know. You don't think about it, but they're the ones that ultimately decide who they want to be tyrannized by.
Yeah. And Viserys says, she says there's more than one way to fight a war. She's going to spread rumors, get the people to rise up in King's Landing. Yep. I mean, I haven't read this book. I know that, I think nobody wins. Like, ultimately where this is going is like in 100 years to where the dragons are all extinct and the House of Targaryen is like extinct, right? And
that's one thing I wish the show would do better. Game of Thrones had the same problem. It's not a show that uses title cards. So I would really appreciate them to start throwing some lines in there, like, you know, something to the effect of, you know, Rhaenyra saying, you know, this war's been going on for 3 months, you know, something so that time, you know, people can understand the passage of time, because it isn't all happening in a couple days. This is not, you know, this has been months. I feel like it's been, I mean, since
I mean, it's been
let's put it this
days
way.
since the last episode. It's only been a couple of days.
Let's put it this way. Yeah, a couple episodes are kind of back to back and whatnot, but this whole overall thing. I mean, since Rhaenyra and Daemon got married, it's been like 5 or 6 years, depending on how old you are.
Well, they have kids.
Maybe 4
right?
years.
Don't they have baby?
Or-
Like they have all those babies that she sent up to live at the Erie
Yeah.
with their
Yeah,
sister.
it's been like 4 to 6 years. Yeah, Erin wasn't having it. She's like, I told you to send the dragons. She's like, I did.
They're like little tiny baby dragons and some eggs and 3 little kids to look after, right?
2.
The 2 youngest of
No.
3, right?
Well, no. One of the kids. 2 of the kids are. 2 of the kids or one of the kids are going to Pentos.
There's at least a couple of very small of Rhaenyra's children there, and 2 even smaller dragons and some eggs. I think there's 4 eggs because we saw the 4 eggs. That 3 of them are the eggs that Daenerys has in Game of Thrones. Those are the same eggs. They're never going to hatch in this show. They're the same eggs that we will see 100 years later.
Those are the interesting because the eggs got sent to Pentos.
They eventually end up there. Yeah, I mean, she has them in Pentos, but that guy gives them. She gets them as a gift. She doesn't have them. That guy when Daenerys and her brother are presented those eggs as a gift. At that time, so they make their way to Pentos eventually. But yeah, I mean, she scattered her children far and wide. It's kind of smart, but Jane Eyre was not having it. I mean, so Rhaenyra, she's finally going to get a smart hand of the king, right? She asks, Corlys to be the hand of the queen, and he's kind of against it because he's kind of mad that his wife died. Which okay, but then his daughter steps up and is like, "Really, granddaughter?" His granddaughter is like, she steps up and gives really one of the most impassioned kind of monologues, speeches we've seen.
That was a great scene. I really liked. That was a brilliant move by Rhaenyra to have her give him the hand, because I think she kind of saw where, if Rhaenyra had gone up to him herself, he probably would have thrown it at her.
Yeah.
But that was I love that because like he's like, maybe I'll just go west, and she said, she's like, oh, like you did before.
Yeah.
And then he's like, but after that conversation, he's like, I'm making you my heir to Driftmark, and she's like, I'm blood and fire. You need salt and sand, salt and sea for Driftmark.
Yeah.
I disagree.
I'm looking forward to see Corlys stand up a little bit.
I think Ark and I finally disagree on something.
Oh, really?
I don't think he's about to switch sides.
I think she thinks Corlys is about to switch sides. I mean, he's pretty mad that
switching sides does nothing for him.
I mean, he switched sides to the side that killed his wife in Dragon Battle, right? Oh, that reminds me of one big thing that happens this week is the scene where at the very end of the episode, Rhaenyra and Jace are talking about they have extra dragons, but they have a dragon that's bigger than Vhagar, but they got nobody to ride it, right?
They've got 2 dragons.
2 dragons.
No,
I don't know if they're both bigger than Vhagar, but one definitely is, right?
Nobody to ride them.
So they're riders.
So they're going to look for some dragon seeds.
And so they decide to go, they're like, oh, we have all these people that married out of the family, or they don't really say bastards, but there's a lot of bastards around, right?
I was going to say that.
And there's a lot of not this picture. There's a lot of random blonde people hanging around that don't seem to be in the story for any reason other than to be blonde, right?
Well, let's not forget that guy in the bar talking about how he's bastard son of. He's the bastard brother of Viserys and Daemon.
Yep. And we also saw so it is not the guy who's the son of Corliss, but the other guy who's his friend or his brother or whatever.
Wait, huh?
Right?
What? Wait, what did you say?
Okay, so the guy who is the illegitimate son of Corliss, right?
Yes. Well, there's two of them, but yeah.
There's two of them, right? And the one of them, sea smoke flew over him, and like there was some foreshadowing that he could be a dragon rider, right? Like, I don't know. But there's people out there that have Valyrian blood, and you don't really know why a dragon chooses its rider. Maybe you do because you read the book.
Well, they have to. Well, I mean, we all have. I mean, dragons. They have to be. I mean, Danny Rhaenyra says it right in the episode. She says they have to be. They basically have to be Valyrian.
You be Valyrian, but you know, she says like, oh, you have to be like, you know, everybody's always pure Valyrian, and like Jace says to her, well, you know, those histories were written by other like Valyrians to make us all sound great. Like he points out that like, well, of course, like the creator of the story gets to define it, and of course they're going to say only pure like Valyrian blood can ride a dragon, because why would you let anybody think, you wouldn't want anybody else to think they can. You're trying to like keep this resource for yourselves, right? Like he was pretty shrewd actually in that scene, I think. And he's like, well, why can't they? Why can't you have half blood? Like, and we like, there are pure heirs, like one of Rhaenyra's daughters doesn't have a dragon to ride yet because she hasn't been able to get one to bond to her, right? It's not automatic that you go, or like how Aemon didn't have a dragon for a long time.
Yeah, until you start bigger.
You don't just automatically just get to start riding a dragon. You have to, like, it's a thing. They get to pick. The dragon gets to pick, kind of, right? The dragon gets a say. So they're gonna dig up. So probably that guy seems to run his mouth a lot in taverns about being a Targaryen bastard. So he'll definitely maybe get one. I kind of feel.
Well, considering he's in King's Landing with no way out, I don't know if he necessarily is gonna.
Yeah, except we know there's a way out. Arya got out through the sewers. People can get out of King's Landing if they know how, right? You can go out through the sewer. I'm pretty sure that the White Worm knows some ways out. There are a few people could maybe get out. But yeah, people are pretty much trapped in there. You're right. I felt like this scene was like a big, moment. Oh, they have this giant dragon. They just find someone to ride it. And, it might make you think that this story is going to a conclusion where Rhaenyra is going to win. But we know that nobody can win. We know that, somebody could win immediately, but we know it's going to be at great cost because we know the dragons become extinct within 100 years. And I think a lot sooner than that, right? You're not going to say but we all know if you've read Game of Thrones or watched Game of Thrones that it's all over. They destroy themselves. So we'll see. I think we pretty much covered that show in its entirety. You got any other topics, AJ, that happened this week that we're forgetting about?
No, I think we covered it all pretty good.
Okay.
I will say that my original theory, I'm changing. I don't think the season's going to end where I think it's going to end now because this episode kind of slowed things down. I still don't think they have enough to do 4 seasons. So.
Yeah, they're talking about 4 seasons. You think it's really 3 seasons worth of material?
Yeah.
All right. Well, we'll see what they can do with that then. I don't know. I haven't read this, so I don't know what to expect. This was episode 6. Do we have 2 left or 4 left? How many episodes are in this season? This is episode. Is this episode 4? I think, right?
No, it's got to be at least 5.
Maybe. Oh no, I think it's episode No, so
Yeah, it's
last
hilarious.
this is episode 5, I think. This is
Yeah,
episode 5. Let's see. I have a little story up about it. It is called. It's episode 5. It's
That's what I
definitely
thought.
episode 5. Yes. So it's pretty early.
So we got 3 more. There's 8, right?
There are 8. So we have 3 more episodes. So that's a lot. When you only have 8, that's almost half the season still. So it runs. August 4th is the last episode. So we'll see if they slow it down more or what happens. I don't know. So anyhow, all right. Well, we'll be back. We got more. All 4 of these shows are back next week.
And we're adding 2.
And we're adding 2. It'll be the finale of the Acolyte next week.
Yes. And we're adding the Ark and Snowpiercer.
Yes. So we'll have 6 shows to cover next week. So we'll have to move through them.
Just a little piece of advice for everybody that enjoys the Ark. Michael
Day from Talented Universe show that runs on this network
is talking to Christy Burke tomorrow before the premiere of the Ark.
Yeah.
He announced that last night on their House of Dragon show. So
that's pretty exciting.
Yes.
That's going to be pretty cool. I'm going to try to listen to that. That's going to be pretty cool to listen to.
Yeah.
And he hopefully will get some more. So a lot of people from the Ark, a lot of the cast has been on Michael's show, Talented Universe, last year. So hopefully he might enjoy some more visits from those guys this year.
Yeah. Apparently he's got some other irons in the fire, but he's not saying anything until anything's. Last night he announced it last night by saying he was 99.8% sure it was going to happen.
99.8% sure. Okay.
So.
Okay. Well, everybody check out that show here on NDB Media also.
I forget what time. Maybe Ark knows. I forget what time it's on tomorrow.
I don't know.
I'll just go to the NDB Media page and
check that out. Yeah, check out also the House of the Dragon recap show on Monday nights.
6 o'clock tomorrow. I don't know if that's Eastern or what time is the Ark tomorrow?
It's probably on at like 8 or 9 o'clock.
So that might be 6 p.m.
time. Well, so we schedule our platform schedules on Eastern time, right? So,
okay. So 6 o'clock.
6 o'clock Eastern time. So that's pretty amazing.
All right.
All right.
Well, thank you everybody for listening.
Thank
Ark,
you.
Pleasure having you in the chat as always.
Yep. Everybody have a good week.
And
see you
we will be back next week with 6 shows. Yay! And we'll try and
move it along
a little better than we have.
Try to have a really lively and rapid fire conversation.
Yes.
Next week.
All right.
All right.
Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, everyone.
And good night.
Good night.